All right, welcome to the relationship show. This guy writes this post. It's awful being single. He says, it's very depressing. It's awful. Part of me wants to cry feeling this way. I'm 19 years old. I'm a dude who's in university. I changed my life and I'm happy with my changes, losing weight, style, etc. But it's like it's never enough. I'm happy with my university course. I have hobbies and passions, but that can only take me a few hours at a time. The rest of it I spend in isolation. Once every 2 months, I will meet up with a few of my friends, and that's about it. I want someone that I can spend most of my time with. It sucks when you're the only one who doesn't have a significant other. Well, what's he doing right now? So he's kind of like fantasizing about having a significant other, and then he's also comparing himself to other people. When you get in this kind of mindset of comparison, it's like you're never really satisfied with what you have, and then you won't be really happy if you're making these comparisons. I'm not saying comparing is always a bad thing. Sometimes you need to do that in order to really understand like the gap between where you want to be and where you are right now. But if you're constantly in that comparison, it's like you're going to be stressed out all the time. It says, I want someone to love me in a special way, not in the same way as your parents or family does. Okay, yeah. I mean, I think everyone really wants that. Everyone wants to feel like they're loved or respected, but it's like, just be careful when you fantasize about it and make it into a bigger deal than it is. Because if you make it into a bigger deal than it is, what you'll often see is like guys will often do too much at the start. And when you do too much at the start, when you chase, when you're texting her every day thinking like the more effort you do, the more she'll like you, or thinking like, oh, the more things I do for her, the more gifts I give her, the more compliments I give her, that's going to raise her attraction. But it has the opposite effect. It's like you trying to prove yourself. All that comes across is it makes her feel uncomfortable, and that you don't really feel completely comfortable with yourself. And so it's like talking about your accomplishments or thinking you have to do something, this like illusion of action. If you get into this pattern, it's like a cover up from not being like thinking that you're valuable enough, or thinking that you have to do something because you as you are isn't as valuable or enough for her kind of situation. But it's like rushing in is one of the biggest mistakes guys make, and it causes them the most struggles and the most failures as far as the things that I've seen. Guys just think that they have to basically do exactly that, is take a bunch of action in order for her to like you, when the reality is all you have to do is just kind of, have a good time and have fun with her on dates. He said, I tried online dating for a year, nothing, hardly any matches, no dates, never had anything ever, not my first relationship, not my first kiss, or my first love. So he's only 19 too. He says, being single is awful. Is also, what's good is your situation is you're at university. So that is an incredible environment for you to be in, as far as women wanting to experience and explore and all that kind of thing. It's like women are really open to it at college. It's just what it is. What it is. It's like they're away from their parents. They have that sense of freedom. They can do whatever they want. They want to explore. College is just notorious for, doing exploring with, sex or whatever regards. And so you are in a good environment. All you have to do now is really just take action towards it. It's simple, not always easy to do, but it's simple. So just like be direct, decisive when you talk to women. It's like, yeah, you have a nice conversation, but if you sense that the attraction's there, you set a definite date with her, or you get her number. And if you can do this, especially in college situations, like I wish I did this kind of stuff in college, just like really knew how to be direct, decisive, how to set up dates, and how to really convert those dates into, well, sex or whatever my outcome was at that time, but just really succeed in dating, because these are steps that you can replicate. And basically, if you get down the fundamentals, you can replicate them over and over again and succeed over and over again. So what are those fundamentals? Well, pickup. There's a few phases. So it's like pickup phases. Well, it's just like have a normal conversation with her. Don't try too hard. Don't force things. Don't go into like a situation where you think you have to get her number. It's like that's your outcome no matter what, or have to get her on a date. That's your outcome no matter what. It's like just approach her, and if it's cool, if it's like a good interaction, seems like her interest is there, it's like that gives you the clue to ask her out or ask for her number. If they aren't there, you just walk away. It's like, okay, whatever, I'll just move on. So that's how you really pick up a woman. Just like be direct, decisive, assume that she will say yes. So it's like when you ask her for a number, you have your phone out like she's totally going to say yes. Or you say like, hey, when are you free to get together? So like you assume, do the assumption close. How you ask a woman out makes a big difference. Is probably more than the words that you say. It's like if you can assume, it almost like makes her wonder about your value. Like if you can assume that she's already going to say yes, it's like, well, man, it's like a psychological reaction that it's like that person has value. And so you do that, then you wait. You don't really get to know her over the phone. It's like you might talk to her a few texts or whatever in conversation over phone, but for the most part, you want to talk to her in person. You want to get her in the person. I mean, think about it like sales. You want to schedule meetings. That's how you close people. That's how you really build rapport. That's how you build relationships with people. You're not going to build it over, emails or texting or even over the phone. And so focus on just getting her on a date. And then once you're on the date, you just have fun on the date. That's all you do. It's like not a big deal. It's like you ask her questions that she would enjoy answering. You go to locations that will be fun to go to. You do things that are fun to do. And it's like, if you could just have a fun time, that's it. Have a fun time. That'll usually lead to kissing, and then kissing usually leads to like elevated emotions. And when you get elevated emotions, like in a situation like that, that's really the best time to ask her back to your place, because I mean, both of you want to do it at that point. So it's like you do it. So you invite her back to your place, and then you're good to go with that. But then it's like, then you just give her space and don't like rush in. Don't try too hard. It's like, oh, great. And then also have an attitude throughout that whole process of like, it's great if it works out, but if it doesn't, then that's fine. I got my mission. I'm in college. I'm working on my degree, getting better at this thing. It's like, that's really what, my focus is. It's like, well, if you want to like chill with me or join me in that, like, it's great. But otherwise, I'm gonna keep doing what I'm doing, and I can walk away from you. And it doesn't really, not that big of a deal to me. It's like, I still care about you, but it's like, I can move on and be just fine. So that's probably all I'll go into, just like the pickup and then a little bit of the dating stuff right there. He says, being single is awful. This seems like a rant, but if there's any advice or anything you'd want to add, please do. That is all. Thank you. Yeah, I mean, just be direct, decisive, get to the point. Don't chit chat over the phone. Don't try to like get to know her before you ask her on a date. Just ask her on a date with confidence. Ask her on a date assuming that she'll say yes, and then just have a fun time on the date. Make it simple like that, and your results will be so much more effective than basically thinking up this like big fantasy in your mind and thinking it has to be like this huge amount of effort in order to get a girl. And, most of those times it just doesn't work out if you approach it that way.